There's a saying, things are bigger in Texas. That goes for everything, even things that go bump in the night. Today we have clips of some disturbing things caught in Texas, from wildfires to robberies to the downright otherworldly. Insane things happen all over the world, no matter where you are. But putting up a microscope and looking at just one place will sometimes expose much more than you'd imagine. Make sure you watch to the end to see what I mean. Sudden pawn shop holdup. No one ever goes to work expecting an interaction to go south. These men walk in, one after the other, into a pawn shop in Houston and immediately come charging into the store. The camera seems to linger on one man who seems to be keeping a lookout, watching for any passerby. The camera pans to the register where an armed man jumps on the counter, pointing a gun in the cashier's face. The cashier quickly complies, opening his record and allowing the men to get to the money. They pull the cashier off camera and quickly make their way back out towards the door. The lookout is standing by, ready to pull the door when his two counterparts are running. The men had their faces mostly obscured because they knew better, likely to avoid detection. But the lookout was holding his shirt up, having forgotten his covering at home. Group storms a locked gun shop. This group moves quickly, with some level of practice, unfortunately all too ready to storm this gun shop in Texas. They set up a chain to the back of the truck and yank off the bars. There's a little pushback from the metal, but within next to no time they can yank off the gates. All the men run in at once, jumping the counters and going for their guns and ammunition. They make their way through the store with some efficiency, which is essential given that they're on an extreme time limit. There's likely an alarm that's been tripped, either from smashing the gates, the displays, or something else that's been tripped. The masked men go in and out, running back and forth and grabbing a few more things before escaping. They weren't caught either. Despite being clearly videotaped, the robbers got away with their gun store plunder. Bank robbery evades custody by dressing like a mummy. Any old face mask won't do when trying to obscure your face. This man seemed to know that fact. He wrapped his head and hands in bandages. Even though he was clearly photographed, no stretch of the skin or identifying features were available to scrutinize. This bank robber is wanted by the FBI as he hid his identity so well that no one would be able to tell who he was even if they tried. Some people try to be as nondescript and difficult to remember as possible. This guy somehow achieved the same result with an opposite approach. Bank robbers on a wild car chase. When you're escaping a crime scene, there's often not enough time to think about your safety or the safety of people around you. These bank robbers used what was essentially a falling apart vehicle to escape police custody, despite all signs pointing to this car being unable to handle it. First, the driver is blocked in by a truck with one wheel down to the rim, but he pushes through, continuing to drive on the metal rim until the car is basically lopsided. He keeps going, turning the car around and driving the opposite way. It looks as though the vehicle may have lost the police after him for a while, roughly when the vehicle begins sparking. It loses some metal from underneath, but it soldiers on. Eventually, the officers catch up to him, but he doesn't seem to show any signs of slowing down. Even when it drives through the median, it's not until the car begins smoking that the men inside try to switch cars. This doesn't move smoothly enough for anyone to escape, as the officers end the wild chase and descend on the robbers with no hesitation. Bank teller dissuades robber. Usually robbers get the upper hand on tellers and cashiers. This is because most places instruct those handling cash that their lives are significantly more important than the money they're handling. This teller, however, didn't get the memo.
This is the guy St. Clair Shores police want to find. He's accused of trying to rob this Flagstar Bank at 9 and Harper on Wednesday afternoon.
The robber comes up, acting casually as though he was a regular customer. The teller informs him it'll be a moment because she's helping customers in the drive-thru. His demeanor changes, yet she still instructs him to hold on. No matter if he's armed, she'll finish the work she's doing before handling him. The branch manager witnesses what seems to be an unpleasant interaction between the two of them, but before he can do it, the man rushes out. This might be a brave act or someone tired and just trying to do their job. The teller admittedly had dealt with a robbery at her last branch and thus was a bit braver and perhaps more confident in how she handled this. But like I said, most places advise against this as it can be a dangerous way to handle a robbery.
Thankfully, no one was hurt in this case, but police remind us all it doesn't always end like that.
Give them what they want. Your life is absolutely not worth the risk of losing that over money or any property.
Home invasion robbery. It's always good to keep a camera if you feel like your space might not be safe.
at the L Apartments near the Med Center.
I don't know how he got in.
An intruder walked right into Jamie Buchanan's bedroom.
This man was informed by his roommate that a stranger was in his room.
He says, "There's a guy in your bedroom." And I said, "What?" He said, "There's a guy in your bedroom." That's when he turned around and looked and just kept on going.
The camera catches the moment the robber walks in, surveys, and zeroes in on a wallet. He moves quickly and with purpose, meaning he got away, but the confidence in which he moves is almost unnerving. The same robber committed 5 other nearly identical crimes and escaped in the same complex, meaning he's likely a resident who knows when and where to strike.
The exact same crime reported inside the same apartment complex.
I'm home. And the other guy was in his apartment. He was home. And that's brazen.
The camera catches it all, though with an obscured face, it doesn't really matter how. Home security cameras link robberies. Sometimes doorbell cameras are your first and last line of defense.
Police were able to get some pretty clear images of those suspects thanks to home surveillance cameras, and they hope to warn residents to be on the lookout for these people and anything suspicious happening in their neighborhoods.
This organized group of home invaders hit homes in what seemed like a safe, idyllic North Texas neighborhood. There were 3 break-ins that week, almost identical, and 2 others pretty close.
South Lake police say her home isn't the only one that was hit. They're investigating 2 break-ins, one at a home on San Tropez on July 15th and another home on Fairway View Terrace the very next day.
Surveillance systems are the only explicit videos of the crimes. Still, because of such technology's pervasive, widespread usage, police could get clear, direct footage of the robberies and connect 5 seemingly unrelated crimes to the same band of thieves.
Video surveillance helped police connect those burglaries to 2 others that happened around the same time in Keller and Louisville.
Without the technology, none of that would have been possible. While no one likes being surveilled, this is definitely a good use if there ever was one. Chaotic home invasion caught. Some break-ins are practice, and others feel like pure chaos. This Ring camera footage captured the moment when a man, without hesitation, rams through the glass window of a front door. He climbs through the newly made hole and rushes into the home, all in one fluid motion that makes you question how many times he's done this.
First at 6, a violent break-in caught on camera. A man busts through a front door to get inside. Police say he's responsible for a series of home break-ins.
The loud noise woke the homeowner and the 2 fought. While the homeowner in question might have been knocking on 71 years old, no unarmed robber is a match for someone with a gun. This, of course, sent the robber running. The homeowner shot at him but missed, and the suspect grabbed the gun and used it as a blunt force weapon. The neighborhood, alerted to the commotion, tracked the suspect down, which led to the 26-year-old's arrest for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. While the robber seemed all too practiced, residents claim that incidents like this are exceedingly rare in their neighborhood. Unmasked Uvalde shooter caught before tragedy. While there's a good amount of footage in Uvalde shootings, this clip appears to show the crucial moment missed by authorities leading up to it. The gunman walks up to the front of the school, rifle in hand, descending on the doors with no hesitation. The clip is shaky and filmed from a faraway vantage point, but it captures his walk into the building, completely unimpeded as he walks across the grounds. We won't go too into detail about what happens next, as the tragedy is still fresh, but this was one intruder that should not have slipped past notice. Dallas Lovefield shooter. This footage, thorough as it is, seems to show an armed assailant who slipped past anyone's attention.
It looks like routine at Dallas Lovefield Airport. An Uber driver in the red car drops off Portia Odufua. Several surveillance cameras show her every move.
When she walks in, certainly there was no reason to pay her any mind. She looked like any other person making their way into the airport for a trip. The thing was, she had no baggage. Empty-handed, she made her way into the bathrooms. When she finally makes her way out, her hood is up, obscuring her just a bit more. The next thing you know, the clip shows as she walks into the busy terminal, pulling her gun out and shooting it into the air. Due to a police officer being on duty, they could take down the armed assailant without issue. Opening fire on a civilian is never a good thing. Still, this officer likely saved many lives by bringing down an unhinged, dangerous person. Most people ran quickly. Would you have been able to get away? Many people freeze in high-stress scenarios. Would you? Fire tears through residences. When things burn, they often burn fast. Fire tends to do that when things are dry. This Texas neighborhood caught nearly a dozen houses on fire in Balch Springs, Texas. Firefighters from the area, Dallas, and Mesquite all rushed to battle the rapidly engulfing grass fire. The air is thick with black smoke, but you can see the sharp line of fire as it tears through the neighborhood. While firefighters make their way up to the flames, it's hard to contain everything all at once. The fire is at a sharp angle as it follows the line of buildings almost directly. No matter how much water they put on the flames, it continues moving, turning everything in its path into a charred, blackened mess. It almost looks like a scene out of a movie, showing the once idyllic backyards of homes now engulfed and only getting worse. Eventually it moves from the fences and backyards as the smoke clears, showing how much damage had been done to the ground, which looks almost photoshopped, it's so blackened. Ring camera catches plant explosion. Sometimes a night will turn on you before you see it coming. This ring camera caught the faraway wreckage of the Port Neches plant explosion in 2019. The color, almost an eldritch hue of purple, shows the chemicals interacting with the explosion and flames in the distance. The noise breaks through, crashing as sound waves reach the camera. People make their way outside to investigate the noise and quickly retreat. It's likely not safe to stay out, especially after an unknown explosion. They return, but only once the coast seems clear. Plant explosion blows doors in. Of course, that's not the only clip found. Ring doorbells are excellent as they catch things that might never have been seen before. Seemingly significantly closer, the explosion causes a wave that blows the door inwards. No one seems to be hurt, luckily, but the sheer force of it blasts the massive doors in. We catch a glimpse of that purple, but it's far more pressing and dangerous given this house's proximity. Before the last clip, since you watched until this point, why don't you consider subscribing to the channel? We upload 2 new creepy, disturbing, and downright scary videos every week, so make sure to stay up to date with our latest releases by getting those post notifications. If you enjoyed this one, we have plenty more for you on the channel, so you won't want to miss a single one. Doorbell camera footage saves the day. Sometimes some of the scariest things are the things that could have been. This homeowner acted fast, but this situation could have gone south much quicker. 4 masked men tried to get into a man's home, but before they could even try, the homeowner managed to scare them off. What he does is, he shoots off a gun, spooking them just enough to send them running. The camera was obscured in such a way that he was able to get a jump on the potentially dangerous altercation. They run, and later you see a truck drive off. Likely to hit up another residence, or perhaps to put the whole thing behind them.